welcome to the live for tonight. First and foremost, I pray everybody is doing well wherever I'm meeting you, wherever we're connecting through. I pray I pray that you, there you go, there's the words. I pray that you are doing well. First and foremost, guys, before we get even deep diving into today's session, I'd love for you to let me know where you are tuning in from. There we go. We doubled up on the audio. That's what we needed to do. Yes. Now we're coming straight through to you. All right. First and foremost, guys, before we get deeper, let me know where you are tuning in from in the world. Are you in the UK? Are you in the US of A? Are you in Australasia or are you in Asia? Let us know inside of the chat. Let us know that inside of the chat so I can cordially welcome you to the live. Today we're going to be talking about the fourth of the 5 things that we need to focus on in order to get our freedom flowing through instead of freedom being fenced out from you. Today's going to be an extremely powerful live, extremely exciting, hopefully one where we can start rewriting the things that we don't want to be fighting against our future. Let's go. So guys, for those of you who are inside of the chat, let me see a hello, let me see a welcome, let me see a good day, let me see you guys showing up, so I know who's in the house for this live, because we're going to jump straight in to this one, because this one nearly never happened today, guys. Just for those of you who didn't know, this one nearly never happened. We had so much going on and I nearly had to postpone, but I said I've got to do it. I said I was going to come through for all 5 of the lives. So as a result, I said to myself, let me make sure I don't just survive but I thrive. Let's go. All right. Making sure that everybody can get into the house, before we jump further faster into today's session. All right, I think everything's done now. All right, guys, so like I said a moment ago, we'll say it again in case you need to pick up your pen. Now's the time. Let us know inside of the chat where you're tuning in from. Are you in the UK? Are you in the US of A? Are you in Australasia? Are you in Asia? Or are you meeting us from Mother Africa? Let us know inside of the chat so we can welcome you at that. Good day. Samuel I Can Win in the house. All right, now, without further ado, guys, it's that time. We're going to jump straight into the session. I want to first and foremost welcome every single one of you who are jumping into the session. Those of you who are coming in right now into the live, those of you who have been in the live a little bit over a while, I just want to say a first and foremost great big welcome to you. So let's jump straight into our recap. And then from our recap, we'll jump right back and then talk about what we're going to be sharing in today's live. Today is day 4 of our 5-day live. So after today, we'll be back again tomorrow in order to share with you guys exactly the finale, because today's the penultimate, the finale of the 5 days of what we've been showing you. All right. So what did we start with? We started talking about the fact that there are 5 focuses that if we use, look at my handwriting, a complete mess today. Let's go. Let's clean this up. We said that there are 5 focuses that if we focus on, we would be able to fix our freedom. And we spoke specifically about how most people have their freedom fenced out. Most people's freedom is not literally allowed to flow into their life and out of their life. Instead, most people's freedom is fenced out. And we asked the question, why are most people's freedoms fenced out? Most people's financial freedom, most people's relational freedom, most people's freedom in the different ways and sources that they desire to be free. Why are they fenced out? It was a simple question we asked, right? And we had a very simple answer. The simple answer as to why most people's freedoms are fenced out was because they don't have specific focuses on the 5 things that we spoke about in the sessions we've gone on in before. We had 3 sessions prior. Today's session 4, and then tomorrow we'll be doing session 5. Maybe it'll be today because we're already past midnight. Let's go. So the first of the 5 focuses, which we spoke about on day 1, was mindset. This was a few days ago now. So a quick recap for those of you who missed day 1, you can get all of the replays on the Red platform. We shared that previously. You can get all of the replays on the Red platform. So the first one was mindset. The second one we went through on day 2 was this concept of marketing. And one of the things I had to share with you guys is that most people, when they hear the word marketing, they think, Samuel, that's got nothing to do with me. And I was sharing with you, it's got everything to do with you, because marketing is simply telling people what you do. And that basically involves everybody. There's no one exempt from telling people what you do. There are people who think they don't do any marketing, But here's the light bulb. Everybody is marketing, whether you like it or not. Everybody's doing marketing. Everybody's doing a form of marketing, whether they like it or not. If you go to a job, you are marketing daily. If you have no job, you are marketing daily. Marketing is a natural byproduct of being alive. Every single second of every single day, you are telling people what you do. If somebody understands what I'm talking about, just write in the comments, I do, as we continue to go through. So then day 3, we spoke about this concept of managing. And I broke down for you in our last session the whole process of managing and how managing is super relevant to what you do every single day. I spoke to you about how managing can be utilized, and also how managing in most situations is the very thing that results in people becoming who they are. One of the things I shared with you guys yesterday, a very bold claim. I said managing is possibly the fastest of these focuses to shift your situation and freedoms. Okay, I'm going to say that again in case you need to pick up your pen. I shared with you yesterday that managing is most likely the fastest of each of these focuses in order for any human being to fix their freedoms. Okay, and this was one of the big ones that we spoke about yesterday, and we really deep dived yesterday. We actually ended up speaking about a whole bunch of different things yesterday. Not only the fact that managing of relationships specifically is what the main focus was yesterday is a big thing, but we started breaking it down. So yesterday's session was quite impactful, and yesterday's session should have been deeply imparting as we were breaking down how managing is a crucial layer. It's probably, as I said, it was a bold claim I made yesterday, but I said managing is the fastest of these 5 focuses in order for you to fix your situation, your freedoms. Okay, so that was managing. If there was anyone in the house yesterday who's back again today, let me just see the words me in the chat, right? Let's see if there's anyone in the house today who was with us yesterday, so we can see if we're tracking. All right, and for those of you who missed any of the 5 days, feel comfortable to understand that we have the replays available. Okay, replays are absolutely available, free of charge, no payment needed. You can literally just jump onto the Red platform and we have them all up there as well, because when we do these streams, we're streaming to more than one platform to make sure that people can get engaged and people can take away all of the value. Okay, if that's helpful, someone write in the chat the word value. So today's day 4. Okay, this is today right now, day 4. So we've spoken about mindset, we've spoken about marketing, we've spoken about managing. So for today, we're going to be speaking about the 4th thing to focus on in order to fix your freedom. Someone put the number 4 in the chat. This 4th thing is so crucial that I believe that this 4th focus produces the biggest ROI. Okay, for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, when we say ROI, we are talking about a return on investment. What does a return on investment mean? That means what you put in, its relationship to what you get out. Okay, let's go. Okay, Komutima, welcome to the live again. Komutima, I don't think you was with us for day 3, but I believe you're with us on day 2. Let me know which days you had joined us, Komutima, so I can get that right. So guys, I want you to understand how this works. I see those lights blowing up. Let's go. All right. I want you to understand how this works. There are 5 core focuses that if you focus on, they will fix your freedoms. The first one is mindset. We covered in day 1. The second one is marketing. We covered in day 2. The third one is managing. We covered yesterday in day 3. This one we're going to cover today is day 4's. It's the one I believe has the biggest return on investment. Is that Reese Shahad? How do I say that? Reese Shahzad. Thank you, Reese Shahzad, for liking the live. Let's go. Let's go. All right. Comitiva says, I've missed the session on managing. All good, all good. Like I mentioned a moment ago, you can catch all the replays on the Red platform. Okay. We made sure all the replays are available on the Red platform. Thank you ever so much, Reese Shahad. Welcome to the session. And Reese Shahad, thank you for deciding to follow the host. All right. So let's keep it tracking. So today's focus that we're going to focus on is the one that has the biggest return on investment. Now, why does it have the biggest return on investment? I'm going to tell you why it has the biggest return on investment, because it's the hardest one to dial in. It's the hardest one to get working in your life. Now, for me, this one actually came natural, all right? I'm going to be very transparent with you. So I had I guess I'd say a slight advantage But this is one of the reasons why I teach this to people, because I realized if you crack this, it's like you've cracked the whole code. Someone write in the chat the word code, C-O-D-E. If you crack this, it's like you've cracked the whole code. Samuel, what's this fourth focus you're talking about? It sounds like it's the one I really need to look into. Let's jump into it. The fourth focus that I believe every single person needs to focus on in order to make sure their freedoms come through faster rather than get fenced out is their ability to measure, or otherwise known as measuring. Measuring. You might call this calculating, okay? You might call this calculating, measuring. Measuring is your ability, measuring is my ability, measuring is our ability to literally calculate what's going on. To get into a predicament and situation where you can see what's going on. Now, if you guys would like me to give you an example, a simple, quick example, so you start to understand, oh, I get it, right? What I'm going to do, I think this will be even more helpful for you guys. If you guys would like an example, I'm going to explain to you how I discovered these focuses and how I started using all 5 of these focuses to shift specifically my business at the time further, faster in my future, all right? If you'd like that, just write the word example in the chat. Just write the word example in the chat. Because these 5 fixes, I want you guys to understand, right? I didn't find these focuses by sleeping one night, waking up the next night, and oh, that's what we do, okay? Just William, welcome to the live. Lola Gets, welcome to the live, all right? I didn't find these specific focuses by accident. These specific focuses were things that I believe literally were gifted to me, the way that I basically was able to learn them or understand them, all right? But I'm gonna share with you how I first started using these, because I've been talking about these focuses for a long time, a number of years. And people have come to find these focuses. I've got a online training course that I used to teach. How long ago was this? This was years ago, probably 2017. So that's like 8 years ago now. Okay, 9 years ago. Wow, we're already in 2026. So 9 years ago, I literally created an online training program teaching these focuses because I found out how powerful these focuses were. Okay. So if anyone's interested in me giving an example of how I first came across this, how I first started to use this, just throw in the chat the word example. If not, we'll jump straight in to this specific one. You guys let me know. You guys let me know. You guys let me know. This is the interactive live in today's session. Let's go. All right. It's an interactive live in today's session. Let's go. Zach's in the house. Zach is back. Zach says, hi, Uncle. I wanted to ask how you managed to get significant following on social media. Great question, Zach. Great question. Zach, we're going to take questions in the end. And Zach, what I would say to you is the fastest path to find the answer to that question is to jump onto the Red platform and go and watch the day 2 replay of what we've been doing these 5 days. What I shared on day 2 is literally the answer for me and the answer for you to that question you've just asked right there, Zach. So great question, Zach. But definitely check the day 2 video. All right, good stuff. All right, nobody threw example in. That's good. So let's just jump straight into today's session. All right, so for today, we're going to be talking about this specific full focus, which is known as measuring, okay? And when we finish talking about measuring, if you guys want, we can give you the preview on what we're going to be speaking about tomorrow, which is the 5th focus. And for those of you who are with me on day 1, you know I gave you the quick recap through all 5 days, so you guys will know exactly what we're covering each and every one of those days. Now, when we say measuring, you may be saying to yourself, Samuel, measuring, what are you talking about? What is measuring? Specifically, I want you to think about this in a simple way so you never forget this. This is a focus on measuring opportunities, okay? Measuring opportunities, okay? This is what we're talking about, measuring opportunities. In your life, in my life, every single day, we have an opportunity. Every single day, okay? We have an opportunity to make more. We have an opportunity to improve relationships. We have an opportunity to develop our mindset. If you are a reader like me, I believe leaders are readers. You get an opportunity, excuse me, I'm just grabbing some stuff to show you guys. You get an opportunity every single day to show up on a live. Someone write in the chat the word live so you know what I'm talking about, right? You get an opportunity to read books, okay? You get an opportunity to read books, okay? Not everybody takes that opportunity, but you get an opportunity every single day, okay, to do things that will be beneficial for you, helpful for you, all right, that can assist you to move further, faster in your future. You get an opportunity, right? I'm literally sitting down and you can see in arm's length, I have books at the ready, okay? Why do I have books at the ready from arm's length of my literal seat in the studio? I'm going to tell you why. Because every single day you have an opportunity, okay? I'm going to say something very bold, and I don't want anyone to take offense, but I want everybody to make sure you understand what I'm saying. Only a fool does not recognize that every single day they have an opportunity. Okay, now that's some bold words. Okay, that's some bold words for someone to say. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to back up these bold words to let you know that I didn't make these words up. Okay, all right. I'm just getting the exact address of what I'm going to share with you. This is a Bible verse, right? But I don't want to misquote it. Okay, there we go. Proverbs 13 verse 23. Okay, Proverbs 13 verse 23. And guys, you sleeping today? Let me see the word live in the chat. Live. All right, I can't be the only one who's here with the live. Let's go, guys. I'm going to read this to you. Proverbs 13 verse 23, because I want you guys to know how real this is. Okay, what was my statement a moment ago? My statement a moment ago was only a fool believes they have no opportunities. Okay, and measuring opportunities is the highest return on investment focus activity that you and I have at our disposal. Let's go. Proverbs 13:23. All right, I'm going to read this to you. Someone throw that in the chat. Proverbs 13:23 for those who are taking notes. Watch this. I love that. Simply Christella, I see you. She says live, but I should be sleeping. All is well. All is well. All is well. All right. All is well. God is good. God is faithful. Sometimes, listen, let me say this to all of you guys, right? Sometimes we have to do the sacrificial thing in order to get the value in. Hope you understand that, right? Sometimes you have to do the sacrificial thing in order to get the value in. I get it. Tomorrow's Monday. For most people, tomorrow, they start the cycle of sameness all over again. For most people tomorrow, well, actually it's today now. We just passed midnight, right? For most people today, they start the cycle of similarity all over again. So here's my question. If you do what you've always done, you're guaranteed to get what you've always, someone finished that in a sentence. Let's go. Proverbs 13 verse 23. Listen to what it says. This verse, when I first found it, literally rearranged. Oh, let's go. Char's got it. If you do what you've always done, you will get what you've always got. I love that, Char. Thank you for finishing that. Now, this is what most people don't realize. This verse, when I first read this, it was one of those verses that rearranges the furniture in your head, right? Who's ready to get the furniture in their head rearranged? Let's go. Proverbs 13:23, it says, much food. Much food. Let me ask this question. Is much a little or a lot? Someone tell me in the chat. Much. Is much a little or a lot? Okay, let me see in the chat. Is much a little or a lot? Let's go. I want you guys to see this for yourself. Okay? Is much a little or is much a lot? Someone let me know in the chat. Okay? Shah's in first. Shah says, Samuel, much is a lot. Okay. Much is a lot. But let me tell you who's got much food. Watch this. Proverbs chapter 13 verse 23. Guys, I didn't make this up. This was in my Bible when I woke up this morning. It says, much food is in the tillage of the poor. Someone tell me in the chat, who's got much food? Who's got much food? You see, this is one of those verses that if you don't take your time with, your brain will be saying, wait, what? Wait, what? How could that be the case? You're telling me there's much food in the tillage. The tillage is the prepared pots. It's the placement where you literally place food. Okay? There is much food in the tillage of the poor. Here's my question. Who's got much food according to the Bible? Watch this. Proverbs chapter 13 verse 23. It says much food is in the tillage of the poor. Here's where it gets powerful. It says, but there is that is destroyed for want of judgment. But there is that is destroyed for want of judgment. What does that mean? Let me tell you what that means in a simple sense. That means the problem for most poor people is not the fact that they're poor. Why? Because there's much food, there is much opportunity inside, in front of the poor too. There is much food in the tillage of the poor, but they are wanting for their lack of judgment. Now, what is judgment? Let me tell you what judgment is. Judgment is our ability to measure opportunities. Judgment is our ability to look at a situation, look at a scenario, look at a setting and say, I see what's going on here. To look at a scenario, to look at a setting, to look at a situation and say, I can see where things can work here. Let me share a secret with you guys. It's not secret time. All right, it's not secret time. We don't have enough awake people. So let's keep it moving. So measuring opportunities is the key to success. Out of all of the 5 focuses that we're going to speak about, this is the one which gives you the biggest ROI. Yesterday we spoke about managing relationships. And I said to you guys that managing is the one that will fix your situation fastest. That's what I mentioned to you guys yesterday. Managing will fix your situation fastest. But what I didn't share with you yesterday is that measuring is the one out of these 5s that will give you the largest return on investment. It will radically change your situation. It's the one where you can put a little work in and get a lot of value out, okay? So the question you should probably be asking is the question I used to ask, how so? How does that work? Let's start breaking it down. What is measuring opportunities? Measuring opportunities is our ability to see the gold inside of the rock. Measuring opportunities is our ability to see the diamond inside of the rough. Measuring opportunities is our ability to see the needle inside of the haystack. If there's anyone here who wants to develop their ability of measuring opportunities just right, I do in the chat. That's what measuring opportunities are. Now, there are 3 reasons specifically why you and I should desire to develop our ability to measure opportunities, okay? Someone let me know in the chat, how many reasons are there that we should desire to develop our ability to measure opportunities? Someone let me know in the chat, how many reasons are there that we should desire to develop our ability to measure opportunities? Someone let me know in the chat. Let's go, all right? Because if you understand why it's so crucial and important to measure opportunities, every single thing in your life can change. Why? Because it's the one that gives you the biggest ROI. The return on investment with the ability to measure opportunities is literally profound, okay? But it's profound for those who know how to utilize it. It's profound for those who know the impact of it. It's profound for those of us who recognize how we can do it. So let me show you how to do it. Let's go. And this includes those of you guys in the back. Let's go. How do you measure opportunities, Samuel? Let's go. The first reason why you want to ensure that you can measure opportunities is because measuring opportunities assists you with your ability to do something most people have poor skills in doing. Okay, what is that? Let me tell you what that is. That is observation. Observation. Okay, measuring opportunities gives you a better ability to develop observation. Okay, Samuel, what do you mean? Let me give you a quick example. Okay, super quick example. When I first started my first property business, okay, I used to ask myself, how am I going to help as many people as possible? That was kind of like the question in my head. How do I help as many people as possible? And I kept having this struggle, okay? The struggle I kept having is I just didn't know the answer to the question. Like, how do you help as many people as possible, right? You just go out there and help people, right? And the answer is no, okay? Because even if you decided to go out tomorrow and give away $100 bills, what will happen is after a while, you'll either run out of $100 bills, or there won't be enough people for you to give $100 bills. You either run out of the bills or you run out of the people, okay? Now, there's another thing that you could run out of that most people don't ever think about. And this is the thing that most often happens. I want you to think about it. Like, imagine the logic of what I just said. If you go out tomorrow and give out $100 bills, you're either going to run out of bills, or you're going to run out of people, or something else is going to happen, which happens more often, but most people don't ever think of it happening, right? Someone write in the chat, what is that? Okay. For most people, in most endeavors, they don't run out of their gift. Samuel, what do you mean? The Bible says your gift will make room for you in the presence of kings, which means you've got enough of your gift. Most people don't run out of their gift. So this is super interesting. So the $100 bills, the value that you bring to the marketplace, it's very rare that you run out of your gift. It's very rare that you run out of your $100 bills. Okay, we need to think about that. Okay. So then it's the second layer. Well, hold on a minute, Samuel. Surely if I'm not going to run out of my $100 bills to give away for free, then surely I'm going to run out of people who are going to take the $100 bills from me. No. Because what's going to happen is you're going to go down the street and you're going to give out $100 bill, a second $100 bill, third $100 bill, fourth $100 bill, fifth $100 bill, sixth $100 bill. And you're going to keep giving out these $100 bills and people are still going to be there. You're not going to touch all 8.9 billion people in the planet. I guarantee. Why? I'm going to tell you why. Because before you run out of $100 bills and before you actually run out of people to give them to, you will more than likely run out of energy. Someone write in the chat the word energy. Okay? And this is the key to our ability to measure opportunities, to recognize how things actually work and not be convinced that they work in a way they don't work. Okay? I want you to think about that. Most people think, oh, I'm going to go out there, I'm going to do this great work, I'm going to help so many people get their lives to work. And guess what happens? They never ever realize that the most likely thing is not that they're going to run out of $100 bills, help, value. It's not that they're going to run out of people to help. How do you know they're never going to run out of people to help? Samuel, you just told me that we're not going to run out of $100 bills because the Bible says, this is so good, guys. The Bible says your gift will make room for you in the presence of kings. Okay, so I know I'll have enough of my gift. But how do you know, Samuel, that I'm not going to run out of people to give it to? Because the Bible says, Jesus literally said this in the New Testament. He said, the poor you will have with you always. That is a statement of truth that I am still trying to find someone to disprove. I want you to think about this. Listen, we get people all the time telling us, listen, I'm here to create world peace. We get people here all the time telling us, listen, we can eradicate poverty with this strategy. Listen, guys, you will not eradicate poverty. I'm just going to tell you some simple maths right now. You will not eradicate poverty. Let's go. Now, this is not me being doom and gloom. This is not me being negative. This is not me being saying, yeah, I want poverty. I do not want there to be poverty in the world. But I know if there is a declaration in the Bible, unless someone's coming with a stronger words of prophecy than we've seen play out through history, you come on, guys. Listen. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. The Bible says God is not mocked. What a man sows, so shall he reap. Please understand this logic, okay? Jesus said it with his own mouth. He said, the poor you will have with you always. What does that mean? There's always going to be somebody poor. There's always going to be somebody more. Why is that important? Let me tell you why it's important. Because if your gift, according to the book of Proverbs, will make room for you in the presence of kings, that means your gift isn't going to run out. And if the poor you will have with you always, that means there's always going to be someone there for you to give a hand out. So if there's always going to be someone for me to help, and there's always going to be value for me to help with, what's the problem? I'll tell you what the problem is. The first law of thermodynamics. Everything is energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It is only ever transferred. You will first run out of energy. And it's the one thing people don't think about. And let me tell you why people don't think about it. Because most people are not measuring opportunities. They're not looking at situations with an observational lens to recognize where the true barriers and the true breakthroughs can occur. Oh, I hope someone's getting some value. All right. I want you to understand how this works. Oh, here we go. Shah's got it. One form of running out of energy is burnout. Thank you, Shah. Okay. That's perfect. Shah's getting it. That's one form of running out of energy. Burnout. Okay. Burnout. Burnout occurs in multiple different ways. Sometimes psychologically. Sometimes people burn out psychologically before they even burn out physiologically. Okay? But these are the kind of things which people don't think about. These are the kind of things that people don't think are going to happen. But guess what? They come up. All right? Before anything else. Let's go. All right. Razal QM. Here's your helpful reminder that this is a positive, productive environment. Okay? And we can invite you to leave if you don't want to add value. Okay? That's your positive reminder. Okay? So guys, I want you to understand how this works. It's a measuring opportunities thing. This is not about doing something for the sake of doing it. This is the reason why measuring opportunities gives you the biggest breakthrough. It literally produces the greatest ROI, the greatest return on investment in your endeavors. Why, Samuel? I'm going to tell you why. Because measuring opportunities is the one thing that most people don't do. You see, and what we have to understand in life is when you start to do the things that only are done by a few, that's when you start to do the things that will pay you. When you start to do the things that are only done by the few, that's when the things you start to do will begin to pay you. Samuel, what do you mean? I'm going to tell you what I mean. Jesus said it in a better way than I can say it. He said, wide is the road that leads to destruction. Here's the best part. And many there be upon the road. You see, just think of it like this, right? Those of you who were with me on day 2 when I spoke about marketing, right? Telling everybody what you do. And I said, we're always telling everybody what we do, right? Watch this, right? You got someone like Raza Al QM, okay? This person jumps into a live and asks such a silly question, right? Now, why would they do that? I'm going to tell you why they'll do that. Because they're marketing. They're telling everybody who they are. This is who they are, okay? Now, there's a way we can explain this. The simple way, just to make it simple and not spend too much time or energy on them, is this is what you call a troll. Okay, this is what you call a troll. Is everyone with me? Everyone understand what I'm talking about, right? Now, why would someone do this? I'm going to tell you why they do this. Because they're telling everybody what they do. This is marketing. This is a practical lesson from what I taught in day 2. Okay? Shah's got it, 100%. Okay? This is what marketing is. Marketing happens whether you like it or not. Now, today is day 4. What are we talking about? Measuring. You see what you have to be able to do? You have to be able to measure opportunities. You have to be able to measure opportunities and recognize, oh, wow, this is an opportunity where I can learn something. This is maybe an opportunity where I can earn something. But guess what they're going to do? They're going to do the complete opposite. Why? Because they fail to measure opportunities. What did Jesus say? He said, wide is the road that leads to destruction. But listen, if it's a wide road, most people should see where it's going. So you know what most people should do? Turn. But most people don't turn. What does he say? But many there be upon the road. Oh, someone's catching it. Think about that for a moment. There's a wide road that leads to the wrong place, but most people are on that road instead of finding another place. This is Jesus said this, guys. I hope you understand this. I didn't make this stuff up. I was literally reading the Bible and started to see this stuff. Wide is the road that leads to destruction. And what's the cheat code? Many there be upon that road. But there's a second part. Someone write in the chat, second part. There's a second part. And the second part is the part where we get to do some art. What do you mean, Samuel? Because now we can draw a contrast to that initial part and decide which part we want to take. What's the second part? He said, and narrow is the road that leads to godliness and life. And listen to the powerful part. And few there be that are upon that road. Think about that for your finances. Because this is what most people do. Most people don't think about the biblical interpretation in form of its application. Let's go, Star. Star says, that's a fact. Guys, just think about it for yourself for a moment. What would happen if you took all of these verses with spiritual implication and you started to implement their business and financial and relational and health application? Your life would change. I can tell you what would happen. Your life would change. How do I know that? It happened to me. Someone write in the chat, it's happening to me. It happened to me. Guys, I'm telling you the truth. I'm a happily married husband with 6 children. And I'm telling you, it happened to me. I live in a day and age where people are afraid to have children. I live in a day and age where people tell you, you only want 2.4, you don't want any more. I live in that day and age. And I am literally a contradiction to the majority. And I'm thriving, not just struggling and surviving. How? I can tell you how. Because I came to understand that everything that has this spiritual depth and implication can be extrapolated in order for us to see the actual business, financial, health, wealth, spiritual application. So let's go through this real quick before I even go back to my notes. What is the business application. Oh, guys, let me even ask this, right? If you guys want 2 examples, I'll give you 2 examples just so this can really be imprinted in your mind and you can use this to go and find your future finances, right? If you would like 2 examples, just throw in the chat the word example, example, EXAMPLE. EXAMPLE, example, example. If I see enough examples in the chat, I'll literally give you 2 examples. Jesus says this crazy thing, right? Jesus says this crazy thing. Jesus says, wide is the road that leads to destruction. He says, but here's the problem. He says, even though the path is wide, he says, many there be upon the road. Then he says, narrow is the road that leads to godliness and life. But what does he say after that? He says, but few there be upon the road. Guys, I hope you understand what's happening here. Let's go deeper. Let's do this. Let's do an example. Hey, here's an example, right? If there's a wide road and this road is leading to destruction, let's call it destroy, okay? Everyone on this road is going to be destroyed, okay? And he says, many there be upon this road. There's many people on this road. Okay, many people on this road, okay? And then he says, but there's a narrow road. So let's say it's going slightly a different direction, narrow road, okay? And it says this road is leading to life and godliness, okay? But he says there's only a few people on this road, okay? Right? Here's the lesson, here's the principle, here's the example. Hope you're seeing this. Follow the many. Follow the many, watch this. Pain will equal to plenty. There's the example. That's a business example. Okay? So if you are interested in generating more income, guess what? Guess what we learn right here? If I follow the many, my pain will equal plenty. Why? Because wide is the road that leads to destruction, and many there be upon that road. This is why some people will jump into a live and the first thing they'll say is this. Is anyone getting it now? Is anyone understanding? Because most people are following the masses and they become a casualty. And if you haven't heard it said from me before, as I often say to my high-level clients, if you live life casually, you'll become a casualty. I've been teaching people since 2016 how to generate revenue using business as a vehicle. I have clients that have not only replaced their income, they've replaced their spouse's income. They've replaced their own income. In some cases, they've replaced income for their children and grandchildren that haven't even got a job yet. How? I'm going to tell you how. Because we're not following the many. If you follow the many, your pain will be plenty. Follow the crowds, your pain will be loud. If someone's understanding me, just write in the comments, I do. We'll jump into another example 2. Let's go. Okay? This is simple. Guys, I just want you to understand this. This is all we did here is we took a Bible verse, which we know because it's a Bible verse, it has spiritual implications, and all we did is extrapolated a business application. That's all we've done. That's all we've, guys, what would happen if you spent the next 20 years doing what I just did there? Okay, someone tell me in the chat, let's do this, and then I'm gonna go into example 2 after. What would happen if you spent the next 20 years doing exactly what I just did there? Let me even say something even better for you, because this might be easier for you, because some of you might think, Samuel, I don't know how you did that. I don't know how you did that. Okay, let me ask this. What would happen if you had a coach who would show you how they do that for the next 20 years? What would happen if you had a coach who showed you for the next 1 year how to do that for the next 20 years, and then you spent the next 19 years doing that yourself? Someone told me in the chat what would happen. And that was just one example. What would happen? Someone told me in the chat, let's go. I want you guys to let me know, okay? What would happen? Let's go. Guys, this is a live, guys. This is a live. So I'm waiting for your response. We ain't moving, all right? We waiting for your answer, okay? Thank you, Star. I appreciate you for saying that's powerful. What would happen? Let me know though. Oh, let's go. Shah, that was a powerful answer. Let's go. Shah says, my life will change for the better, Samuel. I appreciate that, Shah. Amazing. I guess to Shah's statement, and guys, those of you who haven't thrown in your answer, factful findings. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. All right. And all of you guys who are in the live, all the different platforms you guys are on, just write your answer in the chat. Don't be shy. Just write your answer in the chat. Okay. This is a friendly environment. We're not here to bite. As long as you're not a troll, then we won't have to show you how to stroll. Like, take advantage, utilize it. Shah says, increase in my finances. This is powerful. So here's my question, not just to Shah, but to everybody who's thrown their answer in, right? My question is this, isn't that worth it? Isn't it worth it? Like, even if you don't want to spend the next 20 years doing this for yourself, isn't that worth it? Some people, let me tell you what I used to do. I don't want to say some people. I'm going to talk about myself right now, okay? I'm going to talk about myself. I worked in a school in 2012. That was the year I got married. I worked in this school. When I worked in this school, one day my head of department, head of maths, comes up to me and says, Samuel, we're going to be striking tomorrow. Okay? And I'm like, okay, cool. We're striking tomorrow. But I'd never striked before. So I'm like, what's a strike? Like, what do we have to do to strike tomorrow? He says, well, we're going to come to work, but we're not going to go into work. I was like, okay, just tell me more, explain, right? He says, basically what we do is we come to work, we stand outside the school, and some of us will have signs, and we're going to create a picket line. And, you know, we're basically doing a soft protest, okay? If anyone understands what I'm talking about, just right, I do. So I know you guys are with me so far. So he says to me, we're going to protest. We're coming to work, but we're striking, right? And I was a teacher. I worked in a state school at this time in 2012. So I'm like, cool. Then after it dawned on me, like, what are we striking for? Like, that was my question in my head. Like, what we like, I don't know why we're striking. You're telling me we're striking, that's cool. But if any of you are parents, like I'm a parent, you know what's going to happen the moment after you tell the child to do something. The next question the child's going to say is, why? Daddy, why? Mommy, why? So I was kind of like that child that day, right? It was one of the first schools I'd ever worked in. The head of department says, listen, we're striking tomorrow. I said, okay, what's a strike? What do we do? He says, we show up to work, we stand outside, you know, we hold up the picket signs and you know, we strike. So I asked the question, the most important question was not how do you strike? The most important question was, why are we striking? Because I need to decide whether I should do this. This is so good. I need to decide whether this is the wide road leading me to destruction or whether this is the narrow road leading me to life, if someone's catching what I'm talking about. So I said, why? Now, let me tell you something that's fascinating. My head of department said we're striking because the government have not decided to give us our 1% raise. If anyone wants a quick math lesson, right? A quick math lesson which will help you understand the concept I'm talking about today in terms of measuring opportunities, just write in the chat, I want it. Let's go. The Vision Network, thank you for deciding to follow the host. Let's go. All right, let me see if you guys want it. The Vision Network, thank you ever so much for liking the live. Let's go. All right, how many likes we on today? All right, we just passed 1,000. That's all good. All right, let's go. The Vision Network, thank you ever so much for hearting the live, for throwing in the heart meat. Let's go. All right, Star says I want it. Shah says I want it. All right, cool. You guys want it. Let me show you this quick math lesson. My head of department says we're striking because the government doesn't want to give us a 1% raise. Now, look, you got to understand this. I was a math teacher. Okay, I was a math teacher. I am a qualified math teacher. No one's ever taken my qualification away from me. I literally studied a master's in teaching. So I'm actually a master teacher. Okay, someone write in the chat, master teacher. This is why when I teach, people get it. People are like, cha-ching, wow. It took me years to understand what Samuel just broke down in seconds, right? That's why that happens. It happens because I have spent decades perfecting my ability to convey information. Okay, someone write in the chat, master teacher. So let me give you this quick lesson. You guys said I want it, so let me give you this quick lesson, super quick lesson. So my head of department, okay, my head of department says to me, we're striking for a 1% raise, okay? So watch this, guys, 1% raise. Now, I'm gonna make up some numbers because I want you to see this, right? So let's say my salary at the time was £30,000, okay? Let's just make it up, right? Let's say my salary was 30,000 per year, okay? 10% of that is 3,000. 1% of that, just quickly, excuse me, 1% of that equals £300 for the year. He says to me, we're going to come to school and strike because the government is not giving us a 1% raise. The 1% raise for me, okay, and guys, I want you to understand a few things here, right? Because I've got to say this just to be clear, right? I am not saying this to say you should not strike if you work in a school. I'm not saying this, you shouldn't get your 1% raise. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is sometimes in life, we have to learn how to measure opportunities. So he says to me, my head of department, someone who's been working in this industry maybe for 5, 10, 15 years at a time, longer than me. He says, we're coming to work tomorrow, but we're not going to work. We're going to strike for a 1% raise. I said, okay, what's the strike? What do? He says, we show up to work, but we don't come inside. We stand at the door and we start to shout, hey, 1%, whatever we're going to shout. So I asked him the key question. I said, well, why? Why are we going to do this? He says, because the government are not giving us our 1% raise. So I thought in my head, guys, I told you I was a maths teacher. So my head just started running maths. I said, okay, if I'm on 30,000, 1% is £300. So they're not going to give me £300 in the next 12 months. And I'm going to potentially risk, watch this, I'm going to potentially risk my whole 30,000 for £300, potentially. Okay? Now, that's not what helped me make a decision. That's not what helped me make a decision. I'm just sharing this with you because we're talking today about measuring opportunities. And I want you to understand the craziness of the world we live in. Sometimes we fail to measure opportunities so much so that we will put at risk 30,000 in order to gain £300. Oh, someone's getting this. Okay. Let's go. Seb Dujour. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Said risking the whole bag. Yeah, but that's what you're going to do, right? If you work for the trains, if you work for the planes, if you work for the automobiles, it doesn't matter what industry you work in. All of these industries, what do they have very often? Very often, they have strikes for such reasons. Now, I'm not saying striking is bad. I'm not saying don't listen to your union. I'm not saying don't have a union. Have a union. Striking is good. Don't think that I am making a political disposition here. I am making a mathematical decision here. I just want you to understand this. And please, this is very important, right? Because most people miss this. The core idea I'm about to share here is not about individualism. The problem for most people is most people would make the decision that they would make after the maths I just broke down based on individualism. I am not telling you the key is individualism. That is so far from what I'm saying. The key is it takes a village. So I'm talking to you about developing relationships. This is what we spoke about in our last session. But I want you to understand, if you don't do the maths, here's what's going to guaranteed happen to you in your life. You are going to end up on the wide road to destruction instead of the narrow road that leads to godliness and life. Someone who gets it, say in the chat, I'm getting it. This is what I'm trying to share with you. I just want you to have the clarity of thought to understand how things work. We still got a second example. I ain't forgotten, guys. We still got the second example. I just want to make sure that I lay this foundation so you guys can take this away without any hesitation and you can start to make it work in your life without procrastination. Let's go. Shah says, I'm getting it. Okay, you guys are getting it. Let's go. So let's do this maths real quick. So my head of department says we're going to strike for a 1% raise, okay? And I realize, well, hold on a minute. If I currently get paid 30,000 a year, then 1% is £300 for the year. Now, obviously, that's £300 every year, so it compounds. And potentially next year, if I'm on 30,300, another 1% will be 303. Okay, so it does increase. There is a compounding benefit. Okay, so guys, I'm not saying this is bad. I'm just saying think about the layers I'm about to go through. Okay, because there's more layers. Okay, so let's jump into the layer 2. Someone write in the chat, layer 2, layer 2, Layer 2, layer 2. Let's go into layer 2. So my head of department says, let's strike for a 1% raise. The government's not giving us a 1% raise. We're going to strike for 1% raise. So here's the second maths I did. The first maths, if I'm on 30,000 a year, that's only £300 per year, right? That was the first maths. Thank you, Star. Let's go, layer 2. The second maths I did, which is the most important maths. This was the maths that changed my life. Guys, all right, if I can be super, can we have a super transparent moment? Someone write the word super in the chat. If we can have a super transparent moment, I'm going to give you something super transparent. This second maths that I did is why very soon after I quit my job. Okay, guys, I want you to understand, I didn't just say, okay, I'm going to strike or I'm not going to strike. No, no, no. This second part of maths I did is the reason I decided to quit my job and figure something else out, because I measured the opportunity. Watch this. Let's go into this. So my head of department, my manager, my boss, if you want to think of it like that, and this, guys, let me tell you something. This was probably one of the best heads of departments I ever had in any school I worked in, right? This gentleman, till this day, in my mind, is like a mentor to me, because some of the things he shared in the short time we worked together shifted gears for me in my life, right? So I'm keeping it real. I'm like, this is not a knock on any person. This is just the pages of reality I was able to turn as a young first year, second year math teacher, right? So let's go into this. So he says we're going to strike for a 1% raise. I said, okay, cool. Here's the second maths I did. I said, we live in a world where in the UK, they say at that time, and they still say the same today, we have inflation at -3%. Okay. Now, some of you may not know what inflation is. So for the people at the back, let's just explain what inflation is, right? Sometimes we've got some younger students on the live. So let's break down what inflation is so you guys understand. What's inflation, Samuel? Inflation is the speed or the rate. I usually would use the word rate. Inflation is the speed at which, or the rate at which, our money gets weaker. Okay, Samuel, can you make a bit more sense of that for me? I'm so glad you asked. Let's go. If at the beginning of the year, guys, please don't judge me. All right, just pray for me. Okay, my name is Samuel I Can Win, not Picasso. Okay, and for those of you who don't know, this is a loaf of bread. Okay, I do apologize when my artwork's not that good. If at the beginning of a year, let's say January 1st, a loaf of bread is £1, okay? If you have what you call inflation, which is what everybody has, it's the speed at which your money gets weaker. Your money doesn't get weaker because you have less money in your account, okay? If everybody understands what I'm talking about, just write in the chat. I do. Let me tell you how your money gets weaker. By December 31st, the way your money gets weaker is because the same loaf of bread, the exact same loaf of bread, the exact same loaf of bread, the exact same loaf of bread ends up being more money. And if it's a -3%, what that means is the same loaf of bread becomes £1 3p. Okay, that's how your money gets weaker. Your money doesn't get weaker because they take it out of your bank account. Your money gets weaker because they increase the price of goods over time. And if you still get paid the same 30,000 each year, like I gave as the example a moment ago, the reason you want the 1% raise is because when things go up, you've got more money to buy them. Okay? If you guys understand what I'm talking about, just write in the comments. I do, so I know you guys understand it. Now I'm gonna finish the math example so you see exactly how this works. So my head of department tells me we're striking for a 1% raise. I'm like, okay, cool. What's a strike? He tells me what our strike is. I'm like, okay, cool. Why are we doing this? He said, because the government aren't giving us our 1%. I start doing the maths. I realized, well, hold on a minute. If I make 30,000 in a year, then 1% for me is £300. Okay, I did that first maths. Then I did the second maths. And the second maths is what kind of changed my life. The second maths was me realizing, well, hold on a minute. If I get paid 30,000 a year and I'm going to fight for a 1% raise, and I live in a country which apparently has a 3% inflation, a -3% inflation, that means that things are going up by 3p on every pound every year. Now look, I'm going to share a little secret. This is not a secret you actually want to know, but I'm going to tell you anyway because I love you. The real secret is inflation is not -3%. That's the lie that they publicize. Okay? If you actually understand how inflation is actually calculated, you will very quickly realize, most people know this already, inflation is not really 3%. It's not the 6% or the 9% that they publish. It's got nothing to do with that. Okay? But let's go away from that. I don't want to preach any doom and gloom. So you guys know what inflation is now, right? Someone write in the chat, I do, if you know what inflation is. And you guys know what my head of department told me we were going to strike for, right? If you do, just write in the chat, I do, so I know you guys understand what's going on. So he says to us, let's strike for a 1% raise in order for us to get our 3% increase. Okay, sorry, in order for us to get our 1% increase in a world where we have a -3% inflation. Okay? So that was the situation. That was the situation we were facing. Okay? He's saying, let's strike, let's put our whole job at risk for us to generate 1%. And in hopes of generating that 1%, what will happen next is we will also be in a situation where we'd have inflation at -3%. So this is the thing I started just realizing. I started realizing. I see your I do shot, let's go. And then I did the maths. I actually did the maths. I thought to myself, well, hold on a minute. If I'm going to strike for a 1% raise in a world where we have a -3% inflation, then that means even if they give me the 1%, I'm still going to end up with -2. Someone told me in the chat if it makes sense to do that. Okay? And I'm not talking about get your 1% raise. I'm just talking about put your energy, going back to what I was talking about earlier, put your energy into hustling, bustling, and fighting for 1% when you're still going to end up with -2. Does that make sense? Oh, here we go. Shah said it in the way that they speak today. Let's go. Shah said the maths ain't mathing. I realized that it doesn't make any sense. Now, why would someone do that? I'm going to tell you why someone would do that. Okay, I'm going to tell you why someone would do that. The reason someone would do that is because wide is the road that leads to destruction, and many there be upon the road. Narrow is the path that leads to godliness and life, and only few there are that are upon that road. Okay, now you might be like me. You might have a question in your head right now. Your question in your head right now might be the same question I had as a result of that. And that is, well, what do I do about that? What can I do about that? What can I do about that? Let me tell you what you can do about that. You can invest the energy that you are going to invest in striking for 1% to figuring something out. It doesn't matter what you figure out, but figuring something out that can at least create for you 4%. That was the wake up call I had back in 2012. I didn't know the answer. Guys, I want you to understand, I didn't know the answer. The government knew the answer. Because what happened in 2012, we had the London Olympics, right? I don't know if I just, maybe I'm old school in it and I make dad jokes, right? Maybe that's a dad joke. But I want some of you to understand the joke I just made. The government knew the answer. In 2012, the government were making more money off of the UK taxpayer than anyone else. Why? Because they had the Olympics. They had the Olympics. And they started putting certain, I know this because I was in property, they started putting certain rules in place. Like the 90-day rule in London. What does the 90-day rule state? It states you cannot short let your property for longer than 90 days. So why did they do that? I'm going to tell you why they did that. So they can continue to make more money even though you don't know how to make money. I want you guys to understand how this works. This is what was going on. Okay? This is what was going on. Sorry guys, I got a notification which I can't read properly. The black platform loves giving me notifications when I'm live. And I'm just like, I can't read those notifications when I'm live, especially when they're so small. Oh my gosh. All right, guys. All right, so if we're ready to go into the second example, someone write in the chat, number two, number two, number two, number two, and let's jump number two all in and go through. Let's go, all right? So I said to you, I'm going to give you two examples very quickly of how you can take a spiritual or biblical interpretation and develop a financial or business application. Okay, so we've done that with one. Wide is the road that leads to destruction, and many there be upon that road. Now we're going to potentially do it with two, right? So let me see it in the chat. Dr. Evanethia, welcome to the live, right? And everyone else who's in the live, hiding in the back, guys, say hi, say something. Hi, Samuel, here for the first time or something, okay? All right, even the trolls as well, right? Say hi, have some respect, right? Let's go. All right, so let's go deeper. Number two, okay? So we did the first example. Let's go into the second one, right? I don't know if you've seen this verse in the Bible, but there's a verse in the Bible. It says, one can chase 1,000. And it says two can put 10,000 to flight. Okay? And if you've ever heard of that verse in the Bible, just write, I have in the chat, right? Bella says, hi Bella, welcome to the live. That's really nice. Okay? Guys, for those of you, learn from Bella, guys. Learn from Bella, right? You jump into the live, at least say hi. Say hi. Say something, right? All right, so we can greet you as well. All right, let's go. All right. It's a two-way street, relationship building. All right. So let's go deeper. So basically, there's a verse in the Bible. Okay, Bella says yes, she's heard that verse, right? There's a verse in the Bible that says one can chase 1,000, two can put 10,000 to flight. Now, if we take away, okay, and I'm not telling you do not look at the spiritual implication. I'm just telling you, in all biblical interpretation, there's also business and finance application. And if you discover that, guess what you can do? You can apply this to your life and your life will improve. The Bible says, Jesus said this better than I could say it, right? Jesus said, I shared this in our last session yesterday, right? In Matthew chapter 6, when he taught the disciples, his guys, his buddies, his comrades, how to pray, he said, this is what you should pray. Your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven. What does that mean? That means we want to operate on earth based on what we see in heaven. And if you believe that the Bible is the word of God, then that is a picture of how things operate in heaven, because his words are directly coming from a different place than the earth. If this is making sense to someone, just write me in the chat so I know this is making sense to you. So what do? You don't just read it for the spiritual implications, you also read it for its practical application. So how do you read it for its practical application and it becomes of value to you? Let me explain. Here's a verse. One can chase 1,000, two can put 10,000 to flight. What does this mean in business? I'm going to give you a business example, right? That's like saying, let me put it that way so you guys understand what I'm talking about. That's like saying in business, one person can produce $1,000, but two people together can produce $10,000. Okay, now let me ask in the chat. Let's do this. Let's do a quick poll, right? Would you prefer to be the one person in this situation or to be the two person in this situation? Let me know in the chat, guys. What would you prefer based on what I've just shown you? One can chase 1,000, two can put 10,000 to fly. If you take that spiritual implication and turn it into a biblical application, a business application, financial application, we see that one person on their own might be able to make $1,000, but two people together can make $10,000. Here's my question. Which would you prefer to be? Right? Which would you prefer to be? This is why, because I said this earlier, guys, I'm not trying to promote individualism. This is what the world is trying to promote. The world is trying to promote individualism. You got to do it on your own. You got to pull up your bootstraps. Guys, no one has ever produced success on their own. No one has ever produced success by pulling up their bootstraps. Let me tell you how people have produced success. Following the 5 things that I've been sharing with you guys throughout these 5 days. By developing their mindset, by focusing on marketing, by enhancing their ability to start managing relationships. Let's go. Bella says, I would like to be one of the two. Shah says, I would like to be one of the two. And guess what? I'll say this. Me too. Because we understand. Oh, guys, let me share this with you. Let me show you what this shows that we understand, right? It's a very simple concept, but I want to show it to you nonetheless. This is what this shows you that we understand. We understand that 100% of 1,000 is less than 4 times 50% of 5,000. We were using dollars. Let's keep the dollars so we're in sync. Of 5,000. What does that mean? If one can produce $1,000 from their business activity, but they can partner with someone else and together produce $10,000 in their business activity, then I would rather be a 50% shareholder. I'd rather be a 20% shareholder. I'd rather be a 30%. I'd rather be a 30% shareholder of a team that makes 10 than a 100% shareholder of an individual that makes one. If someone understands what I'm talking about, just write in the comments, I do. Guys, I want you to understand how this works. This is the problem we have in the world. We have a world where people don't want to work together. We have a world where people think they're going to do it on their own. But here's the thing, the people that are encouraging you to not work together, the people that are encouraging you to do it on your own are the very same people that are using you to be their leverage. You are their number 2. You are their number 3. You are their number 4. But you won't be your own number 2. You won't be your own number 3. You won't be your own number 4. Just think about the crazy attitude of that. Okay? And yes, I know crazy attitude's not a word, but sometimes you got to make some words up just for the emphasis. Okay? So let's go deeper. I shared this earlier. I said, listen, if you decided that you're going to go out there and do some good every single day, you're going to hand out $100 bills, $100 bills, $100 bills, $100 bills. I said, most people will think to themselves, hold on a minute, I'm going to run out of $100 bills. No, you won't. Some people will think, well, hold on a minute, what's going to happen is I'm going to run out of people to give it to. No, you won't. How do I know that? Well, the first verse I shared with you guys, the Bible says that your gift will make room for you in the presence of kings. So you will have enough value to keep on going. The second verse I shared with you says the poor you will have with you always, which means there's going to be enough people to accept your $100 bills for the rest of your life. So those two things are not in question. So what is in question? What's in question is, will you or will you not run out of energy? Because the first law of thermodynamics states that everything is energy. Energy is neither created nor destroyed. It's only ever transferred. Samuel, what has this got to do with your story about striking? Someone think about it now. Because now you can see I've given you all the pieces to the puzzle. Now you can think about it. If I decide to put my energy that can't be created or destroyed, that can only be transferred, into striking to make sure I can get a 1% raise, that means I don't have the same energy to put into figuring something else out that can give me at least 4% of an increase. Is someone catching this? Now, why is this so important? I'm so glad you asked. The reason this is so important is because what we're focusing on today is measuring opportunities. And how can you measure opportunities if you don't have any energy to measure opportunities? If all your energy is gone to a JOB, oh, I don't know if you've ever heard this from me. One of my coaches used to say JOB stands for jump out of bed, get on the journey of the broke, so you can stay just over broke. If you have got all your energy exasperated and it's evaporated because of your JOB, what's going to happen? You're not going to have the energy to focus on other things. Now, is this my attempt to tell you to quit your job? No, this has got nothing to do with quit your job. This has got everything to do with aligning your energy. You can still go to work Monday to Friday, 9 to 5 for most people, which is really like 8 to 6. But you can still go to work, but just align your energy. Be someone that understands, now I need to measure my opportunities. I have to increase my ability for observation. Okay? If someone in the house is realizing, you know what, Samuel, you're right, man. I need to develop my ability of observation. Just write in the chat the word observation. Observation. That's what we've got to do. We've got to develop our observation abilities. Our abilities to observe what's actually going on. Why am I putting all my energy into striking for a 1% raise? Yes, I can strike. Let me strike for my 1% raise. But let me also put more energy into figuring out how to get a 4, 5, 6, 20, 289% raise. Doing something else, which is even more important for my health. And definitely way more important for my wealth. Guys, I don't know about you, but if you got children at home, if you got a little one, you got a little daughter, and you're going to strike for 1%, you're putting your energy into striking for 1%, but you're not showing your daughter the answers to have to actually go and put energy in to create a 7%, an 8%, a 22% return. I said to you guys a moment ago, I'd rather be a 30% shareholder of a collaboration where we're generating 10,000 than put all my energy into just generating 1,000. It doesn't make sense. Now, how would you determine whether or not the thing you're about to do will make sense? Because you are going to have to measure opportunities. If someone's getting it, just write in the chat, I'm getting it. You have to measure opportunities. You're going to have to measure them. You're going to have to look at the cost of action, but you're going to also have to look at something most people don't look at, which is the cost of inaction. What does it cost you to not do this thing? Most people spend all their time thinking about the cost of doing it. Oh, it's going to cost me £7,000 to get into that room and learn the thing that these guys are learning. Okay, what's it going to cost you if you don't do it? What's it going to cost your spouse if you don't do it? What's it going to cost your house if you don't do it? What's it going to cost your children if you don't do it? Let me tell you a verse I found in the Bible. It says a good man in the book of Proverbs. It says a good man in the book of Proverbs. It says a good man leaves an inheritance. Listen to this, because the mass was jazzy on this one, for his children's children. You see, God didn't even want you to feel like you can get yourself off on a cheat code. It's not about leaving an inheritance for your children. He says a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children. I don't know if you understand what God did to us there. He said you can't think one-dimensionally about your wealth. And I know some of you are going to be saying, oh, but Samuel, it's not talking about wealth. It's not talking about money. You know, that verse is talking about spiritual inheritance and leaving an inheritance of... No, that's the line your pastors and preachers are telling you to cop out of reality. Samuel, how can you say that? How can you say that? Okay, let me know if there's anyone who wants to know how I can say that. Let's do this, okay? I'm going to tell you something that most people don't even think, right? But I'm going to tell you something to help you. The best way to interpret the Bible, okay, if you didn't know this, is to use the actual Bible. Okay, I'm going to say that again. The best way to interpret the Bible is to use the actual Bible, okay? I'm going to share with you a verse I discovered which helped me realize when people were telling me, oh, it's only talking about a spiritual inheritance. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Okay, cool. Cool for you. Okay, cool for you. Let's do this. I'm gonna do this. I'm gonna read 2 verses to you because I want to help you. Okay, let's do this. Okay. A good man. Let's get the actual verse I'm talking about. Boom. Okay. Let's go. That one boy says I'm back again. Let's go. All right. Let's go. First verse, Proverbs 13:22. Okay. Same chapter we was in a moment ago, I think. Yes. All right. Yeah, there we go. All right. We're going to read the first verse because, guys, I want you to understand, I'm not making this up. I want you to understand, I'm not making this up. The question is, are we going to use this to help us get pulled up? Right? Let's go. Guys, if I'm helping someone today, just write in the chat the word value. Value. If this is helpful, if someone's having a resurgence, an emergence of value inside of them. If someone's realizing, no, you know what, this guy's right. Like, I've been thinking like this for time. You know, I've been going to work, I've been hustling, I've been feeling tired at work, feeling like there's more to me than this. I've been feeling like, you know what, there must be another way, there must be another path. I've been feeling like I'm on this wide road to destruction and I need to get off of that track. Guys, if that's you, just write the word value in the chat. Let's go. Let's go. Proverbs 13:22. And guys, for those of you, I don't know if you're like me, I like taking notes. Make sure you have your notepad, iPad, tablet, stylus, pen, paper, everything you need in order to succeed, right? Because that's how you get value. You don't just hear this stuff. Write notes, take notes, highlight. Look at, guys, look at this. Look at this. Just look. This is just to help you understand what I'm talking about. Underline, red line, highlight, write in mind. Okay? Take notes. I shared this with you guys in our previous session. One of my coaches told me years ago, he said, Samuel, if you desire to be happy, make happiness a study. If you desire to be wealthy, make wealth a study. How do you make wealth a study? You study it. Okay, let's go. Proverbs 13:22. All right, Proverbs 13:22. We're talking today about measuring opportunities. You cannot measure opportunities if you don't even know what they look like. This is why we're unpacking with these layers, right? And we're talking about the first part, which is observation. The purpose of measuring opportunities is to observe them. You have to first be able to see an opportunity. Oh, this is the opportunity and that is not. Okay? That's where it starts. All right? Let's go. If someone's getting value, just write in the chat. Value. Let's see if this is valuable for you guys. Okay? Proverbs 13:22. Okay? Most of you have heard this verse. Everyone who's ever been dragged to church. I was dragged to church as a child. My mum used to drag me to church when I was like 11 years old. Like, I used to think, where am I going? Why are you taking me here? I want to play with my friends. She dragged me to church, right? And this is one of the verses they always talk about, right? Most people talk about this verse, but they don't talk about the one I'm going to share with you next, right? Proverbs 13:22. Listen to this. It says, a good man, okay? Do we have any good men in the house, right? Do you have any good men? Now, let me just say this. Man, in the Bible, in most cases, not all the cases, but in most cases, like in Genesis chapter 1, verse 26, 28, it says, behold, I make man in my image, male and female made he them. So man is not talking about a male, man is talking about mankind, right? A lot of the time, not all the time, but most of the time. So just to let you know, it says a good man leaves an inheritance. Listen to this. To his children's children. I wrote something in my Bible here. I'm going to read this to you. Right? This is one of my notes. Just one of my notes at one time. I said, think 2x generations minimum. Okay? That's what I wrote in my Bible when I read that one time. Right? Think 2x generations minimum. Minimum. Right? But let's keep going deeper. A good man leaves an inheritance to his children's children, and the wealth of the sinner is laid up for the just, right? So what happens, all right? I see you, Bella. Bella says value, all right? I see you, that one boy. He says value. I see you, Shah. Shah says value, right? That one verse is a verse that so many people tout around. You got to leave an inheritance. You got to leave an inheritance. You got to leave an inheritance, right? And then when they don't want to teach you how to generate wealth, when they don't want to teach you how to build wealth, or when the pastor or preacher doesn't have wealth himself, guess what they'll say to you? Yeah, they're talking about spiritual things there. They're talking spiritually inheritance, okay? All right? Has anyone ever heard that? Let me ask this, because I think otherwise I'm just talking about what I've heard. I see the likes coming in. You guys literally started hitting like when I said that, right? If you've heard that, just write in the comments, I have. If you've ever heard something like that, just write, I have. If someone's ever told you that, a pastor, a preacher, a teacher has said to you, yeah, it's talking about spiritual inheritance, spiritual, man. It's talking spiritual. Just put I have in the chat, right? Okay, let's now blow that boat out of the water. Let's see what God says, not what a man is going to say. Because the Bible said, let every man be a liar, because God's going to tell you the truth. All right? I see you, Bella. Bella says yes as well, right? Everyone follow me to Proverbs 19. If you're like me, you're taking notes, you got your Bible with you, right? Proverbs 19. Watch this. Someone write it in the chat. Proverbs 19 verse 14, right? Proverbs 19 verse 14. Listen to this. This, if you're like me, the first time I read this blew my spiritual socks off. Oh, I hope you're ready for this one. Let's go. Proverbs 19:14. Someone throw it in the chat for those who are taking notes. Proverbs 19:14. Let me read it to you, okay? Proverbs 19:14 says, house, someone write in the chat, house. You see, when some of you are thinking, how comes this Samuel guy is interested in property? Because I found in the Bible that a house has something to do with it. Okay, let's go. House, Proverbs 19 verse 14. And riches, someone write in the chat the word riches, riches, R-I-C-H-E-S, riches. Okay, listen to what it says. House and riches, listen to this, are the inheritance of fathers, and a prudent wife is from the Lord. Let me ask this question. I'm not saying we're not talking about spiritual, but let me ask this question. In Proverbs 13, when we read that a good man leaves an inheritance, okay, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children's children, were we just talking about spiritual things? So let's even take a poll. Were we just talking about spiritual things? Yes in the chat if it was just spiritual, or no in the chat if it was actually spiritual and physical. Because I just read in Proverbs 19 that it said house and riches. So are we just talking spiritual? Someone tell me in the chat. Okay, look at that. Bella says we must build houses. I want you guys to understand how this works. You can't spend your life, I see you, that one boy, you can't spend your life being hoodwinked by people who want you to go on a wide road to destruction and stay on the wide road with corruption, when there's a narrow road that leads to life. And as the Bible says, there are only few that are upon that road. If someone's getting value, just write the word value in the chat. Guys, I know I usually forget, so I'm going to say this so I don't forget. If you haven't already hit that like, whatever platform you're on. If you want to subscribe, hit subscribe. If you're on a platform where you can follow, hit the follow. And why don't you, if you hear something that stands out to you up here, why don't you just press share to show to someone else you care? Let's go. All right, let's jump back into it. So we've discovered that measuring opportunities is fundamental to this process of developing a focus that will give us freedom. We have to learn to measure opportunities. Now, there's three reasons we want to measure opportunities. The first one is to develop our ability of observation. Okay. The second one is for the purpose of optimization. Okay. What's optimization? Optimization is our ability to improve a situation that is in front of us. Okay, this is why you measure opportunities to improve situations in front of you. If you're current, like I gave you guys an example earlier, right? My manager at work, my head of department, was encouraging me to strike for a 1% raise, right? But when I want to measure my opportunity, I realize, hold on a minute, there's an optimal path here. The path that's more optimal than just focusing on this 1% is me actually creating financial freedom. So guess what I did? I started putting my energy in 2012 towards creating financial freedom. It's not a surprise that in 2017, I was able to tell my wife she can sack her boss. In 2017, I was able to sack my boss. How is that possible? I'll tell you how it's possible. It's possible because in 2012, I got focused on optimization. Okay? And all optimization is, it's a long word, I know for some of you, but listen, all optimization is increasing your opportunity to its best degree. That's what I decided to do. Increase my opportunities to their best degree. Why focus on 1% when I can focus on more? Why focus on 3 when I can focus on 4? That's what, guys, that's what it is. You might have a job right now. And if you start measuring opportunities, guess what you start realizing? Okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go for this promotion. I'm going to take on this professional education course. I'm going to jump into this specific CPD, continued professional development. Simple, 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 super simple. Okay, does anyone, like, guys, I don't work a job, right? But I know many of the people that follow me work jobs, right? Does anyone want me to show you when I worked a job, the way that I navigated my opportunity measuring? Okay, because there's a specific way that someone actually taught me this. I didn't make this up myself, right? So I was working a particular job in a particular school. It was actually the same school I spoke about earlier. And one of my work colleagues told me about his fiance at the time. They weren't married at the time. He told me about his fiance. His fiance was a young Asian lady, and she wanted to become a head teacher. Okay, and she shared with him that in the UK there's a lot of discrimination. Okay, that's what she shared. She said, look, in the UK there's a lot of discrimination. If you work in schools in East London, and we were working in schools in East London, she was like, you know, you can't just hope and pray and you're gonna just elevate that way, right? So she shared with him her strategy for how she got promotions, okay? And I literally used that strategy for a few years, okay? So if anyone would like to know the strategy she shared, just write I would in the chat, right? I would, okay? And I'll share it with you. Now, why am I sharing this with you? Because I want you guys to understand it's not just people who are entrepreneurs. It's not just people who own businesses. It's not just people who studied 4 degrees like me who can do this. Anyone can do this. Measuring opportunities. We can all measure opportunities. Your children can measure opportunities. My children, measuring opportunities is not something reserved for business owners. It's not something reserved for the elite class. Measuring opportunities is for anyone who wants to move further, faster in their future. The question is, are you going to do it or not? Okay? All right. Let's go. Okay. So, let's see if there's any. What did I ask you guys to write? I don't even remember. Let's use show me. Okay, if you guys want me to show you, just write show me in the chat. Show me, show me. If I get enough show me's, I will show you exactly what my work colleague's fiance at the time showed him that she does so that she can improve her employment status, right? And like I said, it works. I did it for a couple of years. It actually works, right? So just write show me in the chat if you guys want that. If you don't want that, we'll just go into the last part of the actual measuring opportunities, excuse me. All right, so over these last few days, let's do a quick recap. We started with day 1 talking about mindset being the first focus that will cause your future to come closer. We then went to day 2 and we spoke about marketing. I said to everyone, don't be afraid. We got the replays on the red platform if you need the replays as well, right? So the second thing we covered was marketing. Then day 3, which was yesterday, we covered managing. Specifically, I spoke to you guys about managing relationships. And today we're talking about measuring opportunities, all right? Bella said, show me. So let me show you quickly and then we'll come back to the last part of this, right? So this is what she said. Okay, she wanted to be a head teacher. Let's call that. Let's do this. I'm going to show it to you like this. This is going to be helpful. Okay. There we go. We need to reconnect. Let's go. I don't think the battery's dead. So what's happening? There we go. Cool. All right. So let's say, for example, you're a first year teacher, FYT, first year teacher, okay? And you want to become a head teacher, okay? HT, head teacher, right? And let's say you understand that to be a head teacher, usually before being a head teacher, you're going to be a deputy head teacher, okay? But before being a deputy head teacher, usually you're going to be an assistant head teacher, okay? Now I'm going to tell you something. Most people do this, and I used to work in schools, so that's why I'm using a school as an example, but obviously you can use whatever workplace you're in, the same thing works, right? And let's say before becoming an assistant head teacher, you're going to be a, let's just use this, a lead practitioner, okay? So that's that's what I was before I left schools, right? I was a lead practitioner, which means I taught teachers how to teach, okay? So that means I had a high level of responsibility. I was in senior leadership, but I wasn't an assistant head teacher, okay? Because I was more interested in curriculum in schools than I was in the bureaucracy. That's why I was a lead practitioner, okay? So let's say you're gonna be a lead practitioner. Now, let's say to become a lead practitioner, you have to first become an AST and like basically an outstanding teacher, a very well-known teacher, okay? Or a very good teacher, a teacher that has a lot of accolades, okay? And let's say before you can do that, let's say you have to have a responsibility. So teacher with responsibility, TWR, okay? All right, now, let's say that's the roadmap in terms of position to get to head teacher. And let's say your goal is to get to head teacher. This is what this lady said she did, right? She said she looked at all the head teachers around her and she realized all the head teachers around her became head teachers after 15 or more years, okay? And she realized, I don't want to wait 15 years. At the time, she was in her late 20s. And by the time she became a head teacher, I don't even think she was in her mid 30s, the way she did this. Okay, so I want you guys to understand, this is also part of the way I was able to very quickly ascend in my teaching journey, okay? Because I followed the same pattern she did, or a similar pattern, because when I heard this in my first school, I was like, this makes sense. Like, if there's discrimination and all of this other stuff, like, this makes sense, right? So there's a few caveats I'm going to share. She said it typically will take 15 years minimum for a teacher to become a head teacher. Often it will take 20 years, sometimes even longer. She also mentioned there's a lot of discrimination. And the third thing she mentioned, outside of discrimination, is 9 times out of 10, the reason it takes so long is because people stay in the same school. They stay in the same school. So they're basically waiting for openings in the school, okay? So this is what she said she did. She said, look, from when she got her job, she would wait 18 months to 2 years, understand her job, and then move. 2 years, move to another job. But when she would move, she wouldn't just move from being a first year teacher to being a third year teacher. She would move knowing that the next position to take her towards what she wants, i.e. a head teacher, is actually to be a teacher with responsibility. So she would apply for a job as a teacher with responsibility and she'd get it. She'd keep applying until she get it. And then she'd do the same thing, 18 months, 2 years, and she'd move. And specifically apply for a job where she's an AST, an advanced skills teacher. And she'd move. And then the next time, she'd do the same thing, 18 months, and specifically secure a job as a lead practitioner. She'd move. And then she'd do the same thing. Look for a job as an assistant head teacher after 18 months or 2 years and move. And then she'd do the same thing. Look for a job as a deputy head teacher and then she'd move. And let's do the maths here so you guys can see this. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. And in 12 years, which is less than 15 years, which was the average time it took most people to become a head teacher, she would become a head teacher. And I believe she actually became a head teacher in like 10. Okay. She is now a head teacher in an East London school. How? Because she measured opportunity. So I want you guys to understand, this is not just about people who are entrepreneurs like myself, who have businesses like myself, or who coach people. This is about any walk of life you're in. You have the opportunity to measure opportunities. If someone's getting value, just write I am in the chat. Just write I am in the chat. All right, let's go. All right, now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna come to a close on tonight's live. We're gonna open it up for questions, guys. What questions do you have? What questions do you have? If you guys have been getting value, let me know in the chat what questions do you have off the back of what we shared. So hopefully you guys understand, it doesn't matter whether it's a job. It doesn't matter if it's a business. This is the way to accelerate pay. Let's go. Let's go. We'll take 2 questions and then we're going to call it a wrap for today. What questions do you guys have? Feel free to throw them inside of the chat. What questions do you guys have? Feel free to throw them inside of the chat. Let's go, let's go. All right, let's see this. This is Tina K. Tina K, welcome to the live. I didn't see you in the live prior. Tiana K, Tiana K. There we go. You gotta read, Samuel. You gotta read. All right, let's go. Tiana K says, oh, wow. Tiana K is actually a teacher. This is awesome. Tiana K says her school wants to give her a TLR, which is, for those of you who do not understand educators language, okay? TLR is a teaching and learning responsibility, okay? So that means it's a promotion and it's a responsibility added to a promotion. So that means they give you a bit more money and they ask you to do more work, right? But want me to be at school by 8 All right, Tiana, let me ask you this. What do you teach? Oh, this might even be one of those moments, all right? She says, is this right? All because, all right, let's see what she's saying. Tiana, do you want to jump up on the live? Okay. Lechani followed the host. Lechani, thank you for following. We appreciate you. Oh, Tiana's in my subject. She's a maths teacher, or my old subject. Lechani, thank you for following the host. We appreciate you. And guys, before I forget, if you are getting value from this live, feel free to hit like, feel free to subscribe, depending on what platform you're on. I think only the red platform you can subscribe, but all the other platforms you can follow the host and all the other stuff, right? Let's do this. Tiana K, thank you for following the host. All right, Tiana K, can you jump up on the live? If you want to request to come up on the live, one of my team was selling to me yesterday that if people have questions, I can actually bring them up on the live as well. So Tiana K, let me know if you want to. All right, if you want to, you can make a request and I'll bring you up on the live and then we'll hear. There we go. Something happened. I don't know if I pressed the right button though. Can you try one more time for me, please, Tiana? She said, I don't mind. Yeah, not sure how to do. It's the first time. All right, cool. So I think you just have to request to go live inside of the chat and I should be able to bring you up. Okay, there we go. All right, I'm seeing something here. And Tiana K, Dr. Anthony as well. Let's get Tiana K accepted. Let me see if I'm going to be able to hear you. Hopefully we won't have any audio issues. Tiana.
Hi.
Hello. How are you doing today?
I'm doing all right, thank you.
Awesome. All right, let's jump in. So you mentioned just now that you work in a school, you're in my favorite subject, which is maths, because maths is not created, it's actually discovered. One of my favorite things about maths. And you said your school's currently offering you a TLR, but they want you to have to show up at 8 a.m. Talk to me a bit more about it. What time do you currently show up, and what's your
Right.
concerns?
So what happened? Like what I would do, I would try and explain my career path. Um, so I've been a teacher for like 8 years now,
Okay.
but I did supply
Yep.
for like 3, 4 years because like I'm a woman, married, and all that. So having been pregnant between now and there,
Yep.
the I did supply for like 4 years, but while doing supply, I was doing like long term at different schools.
Yep. Yep.
So when I had my son, I thought, okay, I think now I'm done. I cannot commit to one school.
Yep.
So I'm now perm at this school.
Okay.
Things like October 24, I think. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So this year, I thought to myself, I think it's time for me to actually go up a ladder. And sorry, do not mind my
That's
son.
okay. That's okay. I got 6 little ones. I know what it's like.
Yeah, so what happened is that the last day of the term, so I was speaking to my colleague, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she mentioned that she's doing this leadership program.
Yep.
And I asked, how did you get on the course? Oh, she went, no, I didn't have to do anything because our line manager actually put her on the course.
Yep.
And she's ECT. And I'm
Okay.
thinking to myself, right, why would they put an ECT on a leadership course?
Mm-hmm.
And she went to me that, you know what, next year I'm going to be head of Key Stage 3.
Yep.
So it's like they're preparing her to become one.
Of course, that's how it works. Even though most teachers don't realize that.
Yeah, so I'm now thinking, oh, wait a minute, I'm here, I've got the experience, and they sometimes even ask me to train other people because I'm not bragging, I'm good at my job,
Wow.
right? So when I got home that night, I spoke to one of my friends who is ASL in one of the schools in London,
Yep.
and he went to me, if you know what you bring to the table, send your line manager an email
Yep.
and seize the head of the school.
Ooh. Okay.
And I did just that.
Okay.
I say, you know, like my email was very professional, was very straightforward, and I went to him. I say, you know what? I feel I'm not getting the same opportunity as my colleague, who are less experienced than me.
Mm.
I say, anyway, I'm not talking about them, talking about me. What are the plans for me?
Mm.
Because if I don't have a clear path of what is next year, what I'm getting next year, then
Yep.
I had the chance to leave the school, look for another job somewhere else. And I know I can get a job anywhere else.
Yep.
So he didn't get back to me on that day. He got back to me like 2 days after.
Mm-hmm.
He sent me a very long email. And on those emails, right, he was telling me like there were 3 jobs, right? He went, I could be head of the year.
Yep.
And he gave me all the criteria and all that. He said, oh, I have to stay at school past 4:30. I have to like be in contact with parents a lot and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Then he said I could be head of Key Stage 3.
Mm-hmm.
Then he said I could be a lead track.
What's that?
And he knows I could be a lead track because I want to be a lead track. He knows I could be
Oh,
one.
LP. Yep.
Yeah. So in all that he sent to me, right? He knows that because I've got kids, right? I have to drop in my school. I have to drop breakfast club in the morning before I get to work. He knows
Yep.
that I get to work latest, right? 8:15.
Yep.
Like the 8:15, right? And I leave the school 2 times a week. I leave bank on time, which is like 3:15. I'm gone. But the other 3 days, because I have like CPD, I have department meeting and all that, so I get to stay at school. So my kid already stay. They have to stay at school.
After school club. Yep.
Yeah, for those 3 days.
Yep.
So I think he's trying to trap me, thinking that, okay, Tatiana, can you come into the school? I come to the school like at 8 o'clock and
Yeah.
leave at 4:30.
He is, of course, because they're smart.
Yeah.
But
I actually read through the line. To be fair, I've not replied to him yet,
yep.
right? But I've actually read through the line. I'm thinking, you think like you like I don't know if you think I'm stupid or what, and and I went. Any of my time that come to that school always end leaving.
Yep. Yep.
I said, why am I even there? I'm like, am I the only one that actually stayed there for like close to 2 years now?
Yeah.
Because any of my time that came after me, they didn't last
They're
for a month
gone.
or 2. They left.
They're gone. Yeah, because okay, there's a few things, Tatiana, which is powerful. You said what you said, right? There's so much to share, but look, I'm gonna drop 2 things which I think will be helpful. The first thing is you, in my opinion, have assessed the situation very well. You've realized that they're trying to trap you because they know you have exterior commitments. But what you have to
Yes.
understand is don't think of it as a trap, think of it as a message. Okay? So, Samuel, what do you mean don't think of it as a trap? Think of it as a message, right? And guys, those of you who are tuned in, let us know in the chat what you think about what Tiana said and her situation, what you would do, what your thoughts are. All right? Now, here's the thing, the message you need to see they're sending you is this: because you're a parent, because you have allegiance to something beyond the school, we are not going to prioritize your career. You, in simple language, let me put it this way so you understand exactly what they're saying. You are a risk to them if they're investing in you. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's not like, you have to think of schools. They don't care about you, unfortunately.
No, they don't.
And they definitely don't care about your child, unfortunately. So they don't care. This is one of the reasons I left schools, because I was a lead practitioner. I used to teach teachers how to teach. I was a secondary and A-level maths teacher. I worked in multiple East London schools. And then after I worked in supply in schools outside of East London. And every school I worked in, it was very quick that the children had high levels of rapport with me, and the school recognized, wow, this is an outstanding teacher. I also had my master's in teaching. All right. So I've been in and out of that industry. And one thing I'll say to you is, if you are a parent, the first best lesson you can take from working in a school is 90% of schools do not care about your child. Forget about how they feel about you. They do not care about your child. So if you understand they don't care about your child, you got to ask yourself, what's the message they're sending when they say, okay, you got to be here at 8 a.m. They're saying to you, your external commitments are the reason you're a liability for us to invest in you. Because if we invest in you and you have another child, well, we wasted our investment. If we invest in you and your child needs care one morning and you can't come in at 8 a.m., we now have a reason to have a informal conversation, which we all know means disciplinary conversation. So I would say, rather than see it as they are trapping you, see it like that, but also understand they're trying to send a message to you. Now, here's a beautiful thing most people don't realize. If you go for a new job, Tatiana, in a new school, right? You go into that job knowing what you can and cannot do. But you also go to a new school knowing what is on offer to you, because you're looking at the offer. You're not just, oh, I'm going to go to this school and make up a position. Now, here's something you have to understand. The current job you're in, when you now send them that email and say, hey, you need to think about my career, you know what they're going to do? They're going to just scratch their head and say, okay, what can we make possible for her so we don't look like we're discriminating? So you just gave the three options. They said you could be a head of year, you could be a head of key stage, or you can be a lead practitioner. They just made that up. They're not thinking about your development. They're not thinking about what you want to become. They just, okay, these are roles that we got shortage. Which one? Let's offer her these and see what she wants to do. So the first thing I want you to understand is take it as a message. Read between the lines. Don't just see the fact, oh, they're trapping me. See the message they're sending to you so you can understand how to play their game. And then secondarily, recognize they're not providing value for you because they're not thinking about your future. They're just thinking, okay, what can we give you? So here's how we turn this around, because we're talking about measuring opportunities today, okay? 5 years from now, if you close your eyes and you see yourself still in a school, if you see yourself still in a school, or even better, if you don't see yourself still in a school, close your eyes, 5 years from now, what do you see yourself doing? Okay? Give me the answer to that question. 5 years from now, what do you see yourself doing?
I was thinking of, like, in the next 2 years, not investing into properties.
Okay. Property.
That's one. My second option was to go back to uni.
Okay, study.
And because my degree is actually in finance.
Okay, that's cool.
I do a master degree in something that has that links with finance, really.
Mm-hmm. Cool. So those are the two
those
things.
Those are my two options.
All right. So here's my question to you. Which of these three, if you're going to take them, provides the best opportunity for you to A, invest in property, and or B, go back and study, or go forward and study? Let me use that language. Which of these three helps you do that the most, in your opinion? I have an opinion, but you tell me your opinion.
Lead prac.
You said lead prac, right? Both of us agree. This is one of the reasons I became a lead practitioner. because I realized as a head of year, there's expectations on me which I don't want to fulfill. As a head of key stage, I actually was a head of key stage. I was a head of key stage 3 maths before I became a lead prac. But I used the head of key stage to get into lead prac because when I was teaching, becoming a lead prac was very, very challenging because they paid us so much money. They paid us more than they paid heads of key stage, but we did less work.
Yeah.
So I would say to you, if you're going to take the offer they're making to you, you already know which path you want to go down. But if you understand the message they're sending to you, just manage that appropriately. Because if you don't manage it appropriately, what's going to happen is you're going to become a lead prac or start doing the training for lead prac. And then after a while, they're going to find a way to say, oh, Tatiana, you didn't show up at 8 o'clock too many times. Now we need to have an informal conversation with you. So here's the point of what I'm saying to you. Use your future to determine your focus. Don't do what most people do. Most people make a decision based on the moment instead of making a decision based on momentum. Your life is a moving vehicle. Your child, your family, everything you're doing, this is part of who you are. Don't think, okay, they've offered me this, I have to take one of these things. No, instead say to yourself, where do I want to be? What gives me the best opportunity? And that's how you measure opportunity. Is that helpful for you, Tatiana?
Yeah.
Let's go. All right. Good stuff. Good stuff. Great to have you on the live. Feel free to share the live with other people as well. And yeah, I look forward to hopefully you dropping in my DMs in a week or two and telling me how it went for you.
Oh, I'll surely do.
Yeah, I want feedback. I do care, you know. I'm not one of those people who just, oh yeah, I'm gonna help you and then I don't care. All right. All right, good stuff. Good stuff. Most welcome. Good stuff. All right. So that was Tiana K, who jumped on the live, literally sharing. All right, we got one more slot for questions. One more slot for questions. One more slot for questions. Who else would like to ask a question? Let's go. We got Zach all up in the chat. Let's go. That was Tiana K. Zach said, hi, uncle. If you're interested, every year there's an event run by FTT FinTech Talents in London. It's a connection event to meet other scalers and other consulting firms. Awesome, Zach. Feel free to just send me in the DMs any updates or information on that, and I can look into it more. All right, guys, let's take one more question. We got time for one more question. If you guys have another question for me, send in the question. If you have one more question, send in the question in the chat. We'll take one more before we shift out of the place tonight. All right, feel free to send your questions in the chat if you guys have got one more question. If not, we're gonna wrap up. All right, now I'm gonna share something with you guys. I spoke to you guys about the 2 core reasons why when you're managing opportunities, you want to manage opportunities. I shared with you that the first reason you want to manage opportunities is because of observation. The second reason is for the purpose of optimization. But the third thing that becomes valuable, I see you, Zach, let's go. You're most welcome, Zach. You're most welcome. Come on, guys. This is community. The most thing that's more important in terms of all of these processes that I'm talking to you about when it comes to managing opportunities, and Tiana basically alluded to it, so this is why I want to share it with you guys before we're out of this live, right? The reason you want to have a heightened level of observation, the reason why you want to have in your ability to manage opportunities more optimization, you want to increase your opportunity to do well, is so you can leave an inheritance. And how do you leave an inheritance? It's through what is really called education. Okay, most of us believe that education is qualifications, but education is not actually qualifications. Education is slightly different to qualifications. Education is what you truly leave behind, the messages that you leave behind for the next generation. My wife often says this statement, which really helped me a number of years ago when I first heard her say it. She said, Samuel, always remember, more is caught than is taught. All right, always remember, more is caught than is taught. Okay, Tiana just jumped on the live. She has a child. Her child is watching her. Her child's watching her take opportunities that might be the right opportunity for her or might not be the right opportunity for her. If you're someone who's a parent like me, your children are watching you. If you're someone who's part of a community, the people in the community are watching you. If you're someone who goes live, the people who are live are watching you. So more is caught than is taught. Always remember that. You can teach a lesson on anything. Hey, this is how I moved forward in my career, right? But the question is, what are people catching more importantly than just what they're watching? Okay, more is caught than is taught. Let's go. Vianity, welcome to the live. Vianity, I didn't see you jump in. Feel free to hit the like. And this is, guys, I keep forgetting. So when you guys comment and I see someone new, it reminds me, right? Guys, if you haven't liked the live, if you haven't hit subscribe, if you haven't followed the host, all of those things you can do, right? So feel free to share to show someone else out there that you care. All right, let's go. Vianity, hopefully I'm saying that correctly, says, I think I definitely send you a DM. You're most welcome. Feel free. My DMs are open for the family. Let's go. Vianity decided to follow the host. Thank you for following the host. Let's go. Let's go. All right, Zach says, that's all been sent to you, uncle. I will wait to hear back from you. Awesome, Zach. We appreciate you. Oh, this is awesome. This is awesome. Vianity says, it's my first time here and I enjoyed the few minutes I caught. Oh, that's absolutely awesome. Just to let you know, Vianity, we stream on multiple platforms. We're doing 5 days. This is just for those of you who are just jumping in right now. We're doing 5 days where I'm showing you guys the 5 major focuses to fix your future freedom. Okay. Now, most people do not focus on these 5 things, and what they do as a result is they keep their freedom fenced out. So throughout these 5 days, today is day 4, I've been covering the 5 things. If you focus on, your freedom will no longer be fenced out, but your freedom gets fixed and comes in. Day 1, we covered mindset. Day 2, we covered marketing. Day 3, we covered managing. And today is day 4, we covered measuring. And specifically, we were talking about measuring opportunities. So tomorrow, guys, or maybe it's today, because it's already past midnight, we're going to be going live probably around 11 p.m. And we're going to be talking about, I think I've got a coaching call with some of my high-level students on Monday. So if I have my coaching call, it might be a bit later, but 11 p.m. is the planned time. We'll be going live and we'll be doing day 5 of the 5 focuses to fix your freedom. And tomorrow we're going to be talking about maturing, okay, which is probably the most important of the 5 that I've gone through. If there's anyone in the live who's been on more than 2 of the 5 days and they've got value, throw the word value in the chat. If there's someone in the live who's just showed up and they're literally like, this has been valuable, just write me in the chat. Let's see if this has been valuable for those of you who've been rocking with us. And guys, for those of you who don't know, we also have the replays available because we're on more than one platform. So the replays are available on the red platform. Okay, the replays are also available on the blue platform, but the blue platform delete the replays after 30 days. So all you need to do is go to the red platform and search Samuel I Can Win, and then search space 5 focuses. Okay, 5 focuses, and that will help you find the live. All right, and Tiana, thank you. Tiana K was our first guest who came up live in these 5 days. We've been answering questions usually in the chat, but my team told me yesterday I can actually bring people up, and Tiana's allowed us to see how that's possible. And guys, hopefully you all heard Tiana clearly and the audio was all perfect as well. Hopefully you all heard her. If you did, just write yes in the chat. But she had a great situation. She literally was in a similar predicament that I was in years ago, probably around 2012 when I used to work as a secondary and A-level math teacher. And I wanted to extend and expand my future. And yeah, I'm grateful that I was already doing bits of property, because then I was able to really push my property business forward. Tiana said that she wants to do property in the future. So I would encourage you, if you want to do property, start to engage, start to develop, start to understand the lay of the land, so you can definitely take advantage of your opportunities. All right, I see the me and the me's in the chat. Absolutely awesome at that. So with that being said, guys, it's that time. I'm going to love you. I'm going to leave you. I'm going to see you on the next live. If you have heard something of value, feel free to hit me up in my DMs. If you want to get my book, The Cash Flow Kickstart, which shows you how to kickstart your cash flow, let me know inside of the DMs. If you would like to join our upcoming 5-day cash flow creation week, when I spend 5 days investing in you, showing you how to move further faster by, on day 1, showing you the science of cash flow creation, day 2, showing you strategies of cash flow creation, day 3, giving you the skills of cash flow creation, day 4, showing you the systems of cash flow creation so that by day 5 I can give you cash flow creation success. If that's something of interest to you, hit me up in my DMs and just say, Samuel, I want to join the cash flow creation week. With that being said, guys, as I usually say, let's go. Tiana's on it. She said, just bought my first house. Next one will be buy to let. Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Hit me up in my DMs, Tiana. Where can I buy your book, please? Hit me up in my DMs and I'll send you a link to get the book. Hit me up in my DMs and I'll send you the link to get the book. Literally less than £10. The Cashflow Kickstart is a perfect work of art to show you how to move further faster in your future using finances, specifically with a leverage on creating cash flow. So with that being said, guys, it's been absolutely a pleasure to be with you for the 4th day of these 5 days of lives. And as I usually say, remember, small keys open up big doors, and I look forward to seeing you guys on the next one. Good day, God bless. Let's go.